know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
I don't think you guys walk away from this.
You just make sure people know what happened.
Welcome, everybody. Okay, let me make sure no echo. I hope everybody doing well. We got a show for you. I hope y'all enjoy the new features we have. Make sure no echo. So today we got a show for you, presentation. We're going to be breaking down a lot because today's show is about Kamala Harris and the Boulè. And then this is a topic that we're going to go in depth and we're going to have some source. If you want to see the source of the materials that we showing today, you can look at the description. And if we have not put a source out, we will make sure that we put it out after the show in the description. I want to thank our guests for coming through for another show. We already have our first guest. Hello. So let me introduce my co-host, Shin Akama, JML. Peace, and blessings.
Hey, man, how's it going out there? We out here doing it again, hitting our community over the head with straight facts, knowledge, wisdom, and like we said in our last show with special guest all the way live from Greece, Constantino. We're here to bring solutions to the everyday problems, even the problems that are the most important in our community that they're blind to see.
Yes. In today's show, we gonna use a presentation that me and my co-host, we looked at, and we feel like this is appropriate time because there's something that American people missing. The American people is missing this key factor that when Kamala Harris announced her run for president, a large number of women raised a large amount of money over a Zoom call.
In a short amount of time, don't forget that.
Yes.
Record timing.
So by it being record timing, we got to understand that this was a preemptive strike. That means everybody who was on that Zoom call knew that it was a Zoom call that day, that time, and what was that Zoom call about. That means it had to have organizers, an organization.
An organization that has people under obligations. Let's make sure we're exposing the whole plot of how they have to move. It's not their choice. It is by oaths and by various oaths that they took, whether it be legal contracts they signed, spiritual oaths that they had pledged, or various degrees of separation from humanity that they chose.
Yes. So when these groups of women got together, we got to understand who was these women? Who was these women and how did they get together? How can you get a large group of women together on a certain day without it being a concert or a family function? That it had to be the same thing. Something more important than both of them, and that was when we look at Kamala Harris' background. Let me pull it up. Okay. So if y'all don't believe me, y'all see the information out top. So let me zone in. Jamar, can you read this out to the people?
Yes, sir. What is the Divine Nine? Harris is a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, which means it's not really a sorority, just for people's acknowledgement, because it says INC, which means it's a corporation. It's a business. It is not what you think it is. It is a business. The oldest Greek letter African American sorority founded by college women. Let me say that again. Let me read it again, like Dr. Umar Johnson said, so it sinks in. The oldest Greek letter African American sorority founded by college women at Howard University. I think somebody graduated from there that's running for the president, and it sure ain't Trump.
Facts.
In Washington, D.C. Oh, so they wasn't even in America when they got their degree. Isn't that a shame? Now, in 1908, when they brought it up, looks like just 7 years before World War I, Henry. Sounds about right.
Yeah.
She joined in the 80s. Look, they don't even have an exact date, so she might not have never even joined. She might just have a credential. You know how that goes, Henry, with these people in high places in the military and the industrial complex. She might not be who she says she is.
Honorary
certificate, like Dr. Martin Luther King, right? Yeah. He didn't take no college classes. How he got a PhD? So I gotta go through 7, 8, 9, 10 years of school for that.
So now let's put it in perspective of the history of Howard. Shortly after the Civil War, Howard is named after a white military officer of the Union forces. Howard University not even named after after an African American person. No female, not no family, not no male, not no organization of people. It is named after a white, or you call Caucasian, military officer of the Union Army. And that is where the sorority was founded. When we look deeper into things, as it say on this post, it say Greek. This is the Society of the Greeks is here in America. The Greeks never died. That is Freemasonry in our face. You see Alpha Kappa Alpha, Delta, Sigma, Third, so many. Alpha, you got Kappa, Alpha, Psi, you got Omegas, Psi Phi. You have many organizations. Jamal, you there? His phone might have paused on him. Okay.
No, I'm here, brother. I was just on mute.
Okay.
Because we was out here, and I just had to say, go back to the list so we can get that list off first.
Okay.
Just a little bit more up so we can show them what it is.
Yeah.
Now, the Divine Nine consists of the following organizations. Remember, they told you organizations, which is a synonym and legalese for corporations. So people know this factual. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. That's a corporation. Incorporated. What is it? Incorporated. Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated. Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. Theta Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. Iota Phi Theta Fraternity Incorporated. That's a lot of corporations that they got under their wing. And if anybody knows anything about south of the Mason-Dixon, the majority of black people from those areas that are educated are in one of these groups.
Yeah, yeah.
And notice that the top powerful, most government incorporated people is sorority. Only one sorority is near the bottom. All of the rest of the sororities is on the top, which is telling us, and it told us Kamala Harris is Alpha Kappa Alpha, which has the most highest populace of all of them. And what does votes mean? Populace, right? Yep, exactly. Popular vote. Not political vote. Popular vote.
So I want to pull some up real quick. So let's push it out. So let me put the first strip up.
Good morning, everybody.
Danny, what are you doing up there?
Watching the fresh morning prep.
Before we even play this, you hear right here it say, you see right here, we don't have to lie to you. This is a recognized news group. It say Vice President Kamala Harris delivered keynote speech at Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated 71st Boulè. It got a
Boulè
right there, the Boulè.
They just admitted it, keyword, Boulè.
We didn't just put Boulè in the topic to have people, woo, what they talking about in Mystique. No, we put it in the topic because that is what's going on here. So let's
sizzling bacon.
Let's get this out of the way.
Now, see, and this is the funniest thing. Now, pause it real quick one more time, right after we get past the ads, right?
Okay.
Now go back to and read what news group that was in for the subscribers. What news group is it?
This is Forbes, right?
Now, I have a question for you, Henry.
Yeah.
As a fellow colored person, right? Person of color, melanated being.
Yeah.
How many melanated beings do you know that follows the Forbes? How many melanated people do you know that got enough money to follow the Forbes?
That's just like New York Times, $2 a week to get unlimited access, but not a lot of people getting it.
Exactly. And that's because why? They're relying on you guys, the viewers, to not see this information because of their code of they have to show their hand before they make a play in order for the play not to have divine retribution. Now, whether or not your eyes see it, that's up to you.
Yes.
That's where we come in. We're trying to pull the wool off of your eyes, shed some light into the darkness, because they're being very obvious to the people who got money, but they're being very, very deceptive to the people who don't.
Hello?
Yes, sir. I'm just waiting for you to play the video.
Okay. Let me get it right so it take over the whole screen. Okay, there you go. Can you hear it?
Yes, sir. No, we can't hear it.
Please have a seat. Please have a seat.
It's good to go.
Oh, my heart is full. To our Supreme Basilisk, Danette, Anthony Reed, thank you for your leadership, your kind words, your friendship, and all that you do. To the members of the Directorate, to my dear friend, Dr. Glenda Glover, and to all Supreme Bacilli, thank you for your years of leadership and mentorship. To my line sisters, the 38 jewels of iridescent splendor. Oh, you are such an incredible part of my journey, and I love you guys. Thank you for being here. And to all those who serve Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, it is an honor and a joy to be.
Hey, I got a question for you, right? We're not we're not a religious group, you know what I mean? But we do believe in spirituality, the one true God, the creator, the source, the divine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, isn't it supposed to be only that type of honor and accolades for the divine only? So why would they be praising humans in that manner of God if they do not have the power of God?
God here, to them, God here on earth, and that is them. They feel like they, with the combine of mankind, brotherly love, working together, all things is possible under the sun. Even the control of the sun.
Yeah, but how can they dominate the Almighty God if he's not under the sun? The sun is under him.
If you
so people have to remember these things when they hear these people speak. I'm not trying to be a devil's advocate right now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be an advocate for the Most High's common sense that he gave us all to have the ability to discern.
Yeah.
You never think that a free meal is free in life. God told us in the scriptures, everything you got to get is you got to work for it in life. He told Adam that from Jump Street. We got to work by the sweat of our brow to get what we want in life, not off the back of others or their blood. And I mean it both ways, literally and figuratively. Not off the backs of other people, free labor, minimum wage labor throughout the country, displacement of American citizens who don't have an education by giving all the jobs to illegal immigrants, pushing them out because they know we know the system. So we're demanding higher rates of pay than illegal immigrants would ever try to even threaten them because they don't want to go back home.
But let's look at it like this. We as Americans, we can agree with what you say, but we gotta understand this right here that people fail to realize that United States have a caste system. They name they throw it in our face by different names. You have the top 1%. You have middle class, but you don't really hear at the bottom what's the bottom because it's just plain out poor.
Now remember what they say, politically correct, the poverty line.
Yeah.
Oh, those people are below the poverty
Yeah.
line.
So
they try to make it sound enticing.
But this is still a caste system where people gotta realize that, okay, if I was someone born before the Civil War or a little bit after the Civil War, and I came out with some money, the objective was to buy land and have a family and instill in them the necessity of taking care of that land, keeping the family together, and branching off and controlling other estates and adding it to it. So you have families who been sending their children to colleges and been having them in places of influence them as themselves. If they were judges, if they was lawyers, they had friends that go to a certain college, so they send their kids to college, and them kids get friends, and they have bonds to the point that
let me say something real quick about that. You're talking about they get a network now.
Yeah.
They get let's use modern terms, right? And they get a social network. And now, like you were saying, they know those rules of the ancestors because they're in a position where they was taught that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to come on to say this right now. Think about what they're telling you about Agenda 2025. You're going to own nothing. Think about what Henry just told y'all. You're going to own nothing. And you're going to be happy because you own nothing. That means if you're really thinking about the system that we're in, you're really thinking hard. If you don't own anything, then that means do you even own your own body at that point? Do you even own your own soul? Do you even own your own paperwork? Or are you just going through life as someone else's property because of ignorance is bliss and running around with your free labor and earning them millions while you make only a small percentage of what you make for them in your checks? You work 9 to 5, 8 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours a day, only for you to find out later you still owe more money. We need you guys to really wake up and see it for what it is. That's why they tease you in the media with various forms of money, various forms of finance, various automobiles, various planes, trains, automobiles, trips, whatever you want. You can have it, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory type dreams. The American dream. Martin Luther King, I have a dream. But the Torah, the Bible, and the Quran all tell us not to follow people who say they have a dream.
But even if people don't even believe in them books, you feel, going into the news of the day, it's like we gotta understand that you have auto workers. They band together, they become a union. If something happened to the point that a company like Ford get a government rebate. So they selling the cars at a cheaper price, but they get government kickback, but they take some of that government kickbacks and keep it among themselves. But the people in that union feel like some of that money need to come to them because they put in more labor and you cutting the costs of these cars. That means you cutting their salary. So they work together and say, hey, we going on a strike. These things ain't going to work. That's how big these organizations really is.
Now, Henry, based off what you just said, by definition, isn't the union also a corporation, a business?
Yes.
So if Ford went out of business, does that mean the union itself goes out of business? Or do they have all that money on holdings, on stock holdings, various portfolios and things like that, that they're still going to always make money and be able to pay the laborers a pension, whether it's, even if it's only $150 a day?
Yeah.
They're still going to be able to pay these people out. Now, because Ford went under, the government is going to pay for the money that the union has to pay them workers while they're out of work. They're going to rebate them the money, just like you said. And the union's never going to go down. They're just going to wait for another car company to raise up and then go back to work.
Yeah, so let's go into playing the next presentation.
Further evidence of the Boulè.
Could you call on Lady Day? Oh, this information comes from UBTD. You can get the information in the description.
Make sure you check him out too, because he got the good stuff.
Yeah. Troubles away.
The Black identity crisis is at the forefront of white supremacy. For the last 400 years, so-called blacks have been spoon-fed their history by peoples whose history only began with the destruction of theirs. Most assuredly, the color-based caste system of race we know today as simply white meaning European and black meaning African was not in play during the European takeover of the Americas. The color lines were significantly more blurred. The rise of the so-called white identity is truly an American construct born in the 17th century as a method of social classification for the purposes of distinguishing rights between Christians, Confederate Indians, and captives. Throughout the entire
That was some real critical information that he actually disseminated right there. You heard exactly what he said about who was the people who conspired to create the caste system and those who placed themselves on the top of the caste system. They said Confederate and Union generals, the chiefs of tribes, and European colonizers and royalty.
So who would, in today's equivalent, who would be the chiefs of the African American so-called people tribe?
The ones who everybody knows as the one-eyed clique. We can call them the one-eyed clique, because we know they all got pictures in various magazines, online articles, with them covering up one eye and showing you only the other one.
So I'm gonna just say some professions. You can say yes, you can say no, or say I don't want to talk about it.
All right, go ahead.
Entertainers.
Yes, offer it, all of them.
Doctors that go into black colleges and become part of sorority and fraternity.
Yes, but I won't say all of them because I'm gonna leave a loophole for those who didn't know what they was getting into, and they were unable to remove themselves, but they distanced themselves as much as possible from the organizations, even though they had obligations. I want to put that out there.
Yes. So we know that as we see this video right here, it say a capsis that put people against other people, the destruction of one people so they could rise above them people. So we're going to get more into this video. So
yeah, hit him over the head because this video is a strong killer of delusions.
Of colonization, the terms used to identify captured Indians changed several times before the 1900s. This formulated methodology is at the crux of the contrived Black identity in America. To assume the Europeans who sailed to the Americas under the Spanish, English, or French flag were not dark-skinned would be an asinine assumption. To assume the ruling families of Europe weren't dark-skinned or swarthy would be an ass-10 assumption.
Walt Frazier, blasphemous!
To assume that those same Europeans knew nothing about the Americas is an ass-11 assumption.
He's got the nerve, the audacity, the unmitigated gall.
To assume that all Black Americans are a product of the transatlantic slave trade would be an ass-12 assumption.
Absolute blasphemy.
To assume that all skin folk are kinfolk is an ass-13 assumption.
I'm not.
Hey, you heard that last little joke, Deadpool joke he threw in there at the end? That's an ass 13.
yeah.
We know what 13 means in the masonry. We know what it means to them. So he's saying that everything that they believe about that number 13 is just ass. Like the Most High said, vain philosophy.
But I want to deal with the other thing. This is the key part of adding this video with Kamala Harris. Not all skin folks are kinfolk. You feel? Some people is born, some kids are born by the slave master. And then the slave master take that child and get that child to take over a location to rule a people because their child look just like the people. They can't rule these people because they don't look like these people, but they got a child that look like these people, so they could go among the natives, among the other people, and act like they them. Just like Kamala Harris, who is from a background of Jamaican descent and also of Indian descent. We gotta also, let me throw this in before I finish what I'm saying, that we already know a famous Jamaican, you feel, who came to America, who did some asinine things, and that is Marcus Garvey. In his background sound kind of like Kamala Harris' background, where Kamala Harris' father said that her grandfather is of Irish descent. Ain't Marcus Garvey have the same background, which is an Irish descent? And he showed his Masonic wear. These
Hey,
children
you
be
know the song.
loyal.
You know how the song goes from when we was kids, right? He's Yankee Doodle Dandy because he stuck the feathers in his hat, and they called him Macaroni. They called him the Mac because he had feathers in his hat. But y'all think that all these slang terms don't really mean nothing in the origin of them because you never looked into it. You just speak it. You don't even know what you say on a day-to-day basis and how it really affects the mind game and the psychological effect that they have on people as a large group.
We got to understand that they tricked us once with Barack Obama. He's not an African American, but people say he's the first black president. If we go by skin tone, yes, Jamaicans, Ethiopians, like I said many, many times before, yes, they can be black, but they're not African American. If you understand the point of why I'm saying they not African American, you got to realize that if you owe somebody, I say you owe somebody $50. And everybody around the corner know that you owe this person $50. So you beat up or you do something bad to that person, and then you put somebody else in his place. You put his brother or his cousin in his place as the person you say you owe. And then you tell that person that I don't owe you nothing. And then they come back and say, yeah, he don't owe us nothing. We respect that. We're going to fight for that. You see what I'm saying, Jamal?
Yes, it's very corrupt. In legal terms, they would call that coercion. That's why they tell you that debt is transferable to your descendants and your kinfolk when that's a lie. How come if that's the case? Because we gotta iron that out. Because think about it. What you just said is a perfect example of how the rich people get richer but put the bills on the taxpayers. That's exactly how they do it to us. They tell us, oh, we need to fund this war in Ukraine, for example. Oh, we're going to use the American people money. We're going to give away Ukraine $250 billion. When $250 billion to that conglomerate of corporations is pocket change. Yeah. But to us, the American people, that's decades and decades of our generations' descendants paying that debt down.
Yeah, let's go back to the video. You right.
Gonna be blasphemous and say that.
And to assume your grandmother was lying to you about having Indian in your family should get your ass slapped, boy.
It's just so disrespectful for you to say something like that.
The problem with accepting institutional indoctrination, it tends to lead itself into pretentious presuppositions by those newly indoctrinated about those who aren't.
I spent $100 to find out I'm black. That shit says 77% African, 13% European, and there was some miscellaneous shit. And I was like, yeah, that's a slave. Yep. Yep, that's a fucking slave right there. Wasn't no Indian in that motherfucker. Anybody here that's black, you know, we've been told when we was growing up that we had Indian in our family. I got
Now, Henry, as somebody from Louisiana, born and raised, right? I have to ask you a question. Did your grandmother tell you had Indian in your blood? You're muted.
I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I was dealing with some stuff. Yes, family members, yes, friends.
Now, I'm all the way up here in Massachusetts and Rhode Island.
Yeah.
We're a whole country away from each other. Thousands of miles away, like the song says from back in the day. You know what I'm saying? And in Rhode Island, I know I'm from the Algonquin nations, Wampanoag. You know what I'm saying? And then my father also told me he was Native American when he took his DNA test. And people in the community always criticizing me, but they don't know that I don't have to take a DNA test if my family members already took it. And you know what I'm saying? If you just know how to divide the stuff up.
So the main key is this. When you hear people from the continent of Africa say African Americans is not like us or they not us, and you hear African American people saying, I'm not from Africa, there was no boats. It's reason for that because there are evidence out there when you research. But the key is this. When you have loyalists, children of certain people high up position in the caste system, put in front of the eyes of the people, they hiding something. But I'm gonna show Jamal.
Henry, I got a question for you. Hold up, I got a question for you. Yeah. Movie trivia, right? Because we're old school, so we watched all the karate flicks, right? You know what I'm talking about back in the day.
Yeah.
Now, how did Bruce Lee infiltrate his enemy's dojo in the movie? He turned into the phone guy when the phone was broke.
Yeah.
He came all the way up in there, not knowing, them people not even knowing, while they was talking out loud, conspiring to kill Bruce Lee, that he was already among them, listening to them speak so much trash and garbage and fabrication. And you know what happened in the movie. Bruce Lee ended up killing all of them, even Chuck Norris.
Yeah.
Even Chuck Norris. Remember, and he fought Chuck Norris where? In the Coliseum. In Gladiator 2, who do they got Denzel playing that died in Gladiator 1? Caesar in the Coliseum.
So we have here, like we have here is say American, a Native of American, originally applied to the Aboriginals of copper color race found here by the European, but now applied to the descendants of European born in America. So this the funny part is the descendants of these Europeans. We got to understand that there was people who were swarthy, dark, black, Moor, copper color, coming from Europe also into America. So these people that look like the natives here in America and look like the natives in Africa came from Europe. They was children of conquistadors,
various crowns,
conquistadors themselves.
Don't forget the various crowns too. Royalty came over here.
Yes.
Straight princes, noblemen, dukes, all of them came over here to America. People don't know that the 13th Amendment got swapped out during civil rights. It wasn't the 13th Amendment that's there is not the hidden 13th Amendment that's really there. The law that makes slavery legal is not the true 13th Amendment. The true 13th Amendment says anybody of royal blood has to drop any and all foreign titles, or they are treason against the United States of America. So if you're saying now let's say if you're the Prince of England like Harry. Now, if you come to live in the United States, he'll no longer be known as Prince Harry. That's why when him and Meghan was going to move to Canada to get away from the royal family, they told him if he left, he was losing all his titles. Because we know the law of America does not extend only to the United States, but to where the whole range of the original populace of so-called aboriginals had the territory of the land since time immemorial.
Yes, let's go into the video now.
Hold on, one more thing about that. One more thing about that definition, because I want to put on something that I learned from another brother on YouTube, Lex Will. People don't realize that definition, the beginning of it, the first part of it, is contradictory. How can you be a native of America and be the aboriginal of America? You can only be one or the other. Either you're from the land or you're not. A native means that you're from a different land, born in a foreign land. You know that, Henry. You got a whole show about that, about the difference between Cajuns and Caucasians and the Creole. You got a whole show about that.
So so when they say a native, they literally say someone who born here. That don't include someone who came. Okay, my grandma and my grandpa, they came from England. Let's say that. And created my father. Let's add that scenario. You feel? So my father, not being born in England, in Europe, but born here in America, become a native. Because just being born here in America means you're a native. But it's originally applied to the people who already been here. No matter what, they born here, their parents was here, their history was here. That's why somebody asked me, do you have family from Haiti or somewhere? No, my family been here, always was here. It's no coming on no boat.
And the same thing with my forefathers. You know what I'm saying? My forefathers came from here.
Yeah.
My mother and her background, no, they're all foreign. But my father and my father's father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, all born in Providence, Rhode Island, just like me. And people don't understand that these things are real truths that we've been hidden from us. And like you said, if you're a native, you're just going to do everything in your power to make people believe you have power. In the legality of it, there's two types of people you could be. You could be a citizen, which means that you have legal documentation to be here. That doesn't mean you're from here. It just means you got paperwork saying you was born here, and the United States government will honor your paperwork for commerce.
Yes.
Then but you have people, hold on, let me get the second one. Okay. And then you have people like me and Henry and other indigenous aboriginal peoples, what you want to call us, Israelites, Moors, Choctaw, Washita, it doesn't matter the names. You are naturalized because you're naturally from the land.
Yes, don't call us none of them names. You feel
when naturalized Americans.
Yes, when y'all don't when people start putting names they start dividing themselves. You feel? So that's when we gotta realize that when Kamala Harris went around saying I'm Indian this or I'm black this, that's a division in itself. And it's just to get people vote. So this is crookedness. So let's go ahead and pop this video in people's face.
My results, I called my grandmother Amelia. I said, "You a lying motherfucker." Oh, goddamn. And then when the fuck was niggas and natives hanging out?
I got my results. I called my grandmother Amelia. I said, "You a lying motherfucker."
The two distinct lines in the sands of deception for Black America were first Christianity and then education. At the foundation of both was the master plan of the colonizer to divide the Black masses into opposing factions for the purposes of puppeteering movements and perpetrating conformity within the collective psyche of the Black masses.
Or could you call on Lady Day? And could you call on John?
Indeed, Freemasons.
Hey, Henry, can you pause that back at that part
in the establishment of nearly
with the sphinx on it? I got to make a comment. The part with the Boule sphinx on it. Yep, right there. Now, play that. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Now, for those of you who don't know, the biggest promoter of the Boule has this tattooed across his chest like Superman. And that's USA team basketball leader, LeBron James. I just wanted to make sure everybody knows. If you don't believe me, just go look it up on Google. All you got to do, ask them about the Boule image that's tattooed on LeBron James' chest, and it's gonna pop up.
They'll watch your troubles away.
At the pinnacle of the so-called Black hierarchy in the early stages of American inception were indeed Freemasons. This list consists of the most prominent Blacks involved in the establishment of nearly all African Methodist Episcopal churches throughout the entire United States. Masonic membership was a precursor to prominence for Blacks seeking influence and power. The ranks of Masonic credibility, however, would soon divide these Blacks from white Freemasons with the creation of the Prince Hall Lodge in 1784. Until this point, Blacks
That was some critical information, Henry, right there for people to hear.
Look, I was thinking earlier like this. Remember Donald Trump say, "Oh man, I don't know her directly, but we bumped into each other so."
Indirectly, he said.
Yeah, but she was claiming to be from Indian, then Black.
And Donald Trump said he never in his life heard her ever claim to be Black before she started the presidential runs.
Yeah, so let's look at it to the point of this. After college, she got the backing of AKA in their Boule order. Then when she got into a high place, because she could not enter the women Freemasons, the Eastern Star, the white Eastern Star, she had to change her identity to fit among another set of people. But
now, Henry, I got a question for you before we go too deep with that, because we got to make a clarification for people who's not initiated about the Eastern Stars, how you just divided that. So we want to make sure we unify the division, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So people understand the origin. Now, according to you, it's an Eastern Star, what you just said, which means they come from the East. Now, if Kamala Harris is Aboriginal, I'm going to use that word we just saw, to Hindustan, wouldn't that make her the true Eastern Star, regardless of whether or not they accept her into their white organization? She is naturally the Eastern Star, higher ranked than them in the spiritual order, correct?
Yes, but
based on hereditary, right? Her bloodline.
Even with her name, it show connection to Asherah.
Asherah, yep.
It show the connection there, even with their name, because people got to understand, if you have a royal family and they have 5 children or 3 kids or 2, each of them children, each of their child will have a position. One might just become a duke, and then the other one will be the heir to the throne. And then their kids will have that hereditary approach. Now we have knights. A common folk can't just wake up one morning and say, hey, I'm going to be a knight. You must get it hereditary by birth, or the king himself or somebody of royal stature feel like you noble enough to become a knight.
Henry, you got to remember, what is that called, though? That's through your deeds. Like the Bible says, they became anointed through their deeds, not because of who they were.
Even we look at this worldly system of what's going on now.
I'm saying it from the point how you said there's people who's already born into it, so they had to make a way for people who wasn't born into it to join the organization. And they said, this, you have to do X, Y, and Z in the list in order for you as a non-blood to become part of the organization. What they call, hold on, let me say this. What they call in vampirism, if you watch Blade, shout out to Deadpool and Wolverine, Wesley Snipes, that they call them people familiars. And like Wesley Snipes Blade said, I hate all familiars. Because you're not one of them, you never will be, but they give you the delusion and the illusion that you will be, while they feed off your energy until you're used up, and then they use you as a smoke bomb. P. Diddy never went to jail for no charges, but his sons did, smoke bombs, so that way they could throw everybody in the public off the trail that he's one of them, and the FBI agents wasn't doing nothing but putting on a show.
Yes, it's to the point that you have a class of people where the law don't touch you, because people got to understand this. A lot of the criminal law cases here in America is set up like this. It's a jail sentence. It's a fine, or it's an and. That means you got to pay the fine and do the time, or you just pay the fine. And people who got money could pay for that time.
Don't forget, or you got to spend energy when you got to do community service. You got to spend energy doing labor.
So,
which is also 13th Amendment.
No, it's to the point that if I'm a rich person like Bill Gates or whatever, it's to the point that money ain't nothing. Oh man, I passed the red light. I passed it up quick. They say a ticket Oh man, that's a citation, man. I pay that. I'll build a new police station. I go ahead and give y'all some robot dogs and stuff.
Hey, let me go ahead and link it up for them so they really understand. Now, all currency is energy in its most basic form. Yeah. Now, the connection is they're going to say in the court, how do you plead to the charges? Now, everybody in America and worldwide knows charges is a bill. It is not a criminal act. A charge is a financial implication. If you charge your credit card, if you charge your phone, if you need to sleep to recharge your battery, even analogies, figuratively, literally speaking, it's all currency, energy. So if I commit a heinous act, let's say something like first-degree murder, but I'm a billionaire, or my dad's a billionaire, or etc. They're not going to have the lawyers go in there pleading not guilty or guilty. They're going to say to the judge, how can we be fiscally responsible to take care of the charges so there is no criminal sentence? What do you think about that, Henry? That is a charge on a bill. If you have the money to pay it, just like you were saying.
Like, we already know money is fiat. It's to the point. It's to the point that some people don't even need money. It's not even about the money. When people start talking about money, that means you ready to kill somebody or destroy them. That means you ready to just take them out off the face of the world, not the earth, but off the face of cameras. Nobody know what happened to him. That's how you see him. He's a bum on the street looking for drugs. Like, damn, you fell out so far, young Prince.
Hey, you know what's a good example of that too? That everybody's seen? DMX.
But even like we don't even want to go too far into this because I want to like mainly stay on the topic of Kamala Harris. It's like she was groomed. She was groomed. You got this politician. And we gotta realize in the 60s that her father came here and her mother came here. In the 60s, in the heat of the civil rights action, you got this Jamaican in college, and one of his core studies, one of his elective, was working with United States government with the Freedom Rider. People don't know that the Freedom Rider, it wasn't just something that people just like, hey man, it's going down in the South. We need to go ahead and jump on some buses and cars and go in the South and help them to vote. No, that was a government initiative using college students to go get people in the South registered. So you got this person from India and you got this person
for our conspiracy people, they know what that's called.
Yeah,
when they did that. The conspiracy theorists already said it. Those people, let me get an example, right, Henry? Now I need your opinion on this, right? You want to know who's a key factor? You got it muted, but you know who's a key factor in this, and you can attest it because we're speaking on Kamala Harris, right?
Yeah.
You just brought up Alabama. Let's go with Tulsa, right? Or Tulsa, Oklahoma. Let's go on with the marches in Alabama. Who is in the front in the pictures in the marches in Alabama holding arms? That's politicians today. Let's name them off because those are the people who got the kickback payoffs. And I'll tell you one from my area off the rip, New Hampshire, from the good old state of New Hampshire. You know what I'm talking about? You just put a video out on them. He's he's in the Senate from New Hampshire. You just put a short up. You might as well play it. Bernie Sanders.
Yup.
Bernie Sanders is in the picture in the front with Martin Luther King in them.
But
come on, bro.
Also, we gotta not forget about we got Jesse Jackson. We got
Jesse Jackson was on the porch right when before Martin Luther King got shot, and they said Jesse Jackson was the one who convinced Martin Luther King to come outside at the right time.
But even so, we don't even have to go deep into this because we got to realize just for people point at, just say a name. You feel when people do research, you just say a name. Jesse Jackson. Go look up and see if he went to college. By going
hey, don't forget the New York Times and the New York Post article saying Al Sharpton was an FBI agent too.
We not even going that far. Just this simple search. Did he go to college? If he went to college, do he bang a fraternity? Do his wife bang a sorority? That's it. You don't have to see if he's a secret agent. You don't have to hear people conspiracy theories or anything. All you got to do is see, did this person go to college? If he went to college, was he part of fraternity or sorority? And bam, that connection right there show that you is a part of the collective. And that collective is the Boulè. Because this is what I found out. I clean people's houses. You feel? When people ready to move out, I move them. I clean the house. I get it right. When I did some labor for electrician going into a house, I see this woman with a lot of elephants, red color. You feel? That's, I believe Delta might be Delta. I don't want to get the Greek letter wrong.
You said red elephants?
Yeah, elephants.
Remember in Hindustan, and let me just put a quick trivia star on that, what you just said, to make a link for people who don't do research so they can go do their due diligence. In Hinduism, they got a red, aka a pink, elephant god called Ganesh, the god of fortune. Now go ahead, Henry, go ahead. I just wanted to link that up.
Even like when I went in the house, you feel, seeing the college things up, they all carry a Bible. You feel they carry a picture Bible. And next with that picture Bible, that picture Bible with their name in it, because they pass that Bible on to the next generation. They keep their blood lineage of, hey, not just any blood lineage, because the second son, the second daughter, other kids might not even be part of that blood lineage. Once you sign that paper, that's your heir. That's your representative of the house. They pass this Bible, and this Bible is the Eastern Star Bible. This is the Greek sorority. So let's get to the video to see more into this.
Were included in membership along with other Masons, as many of the founding members had earned their Masonic degrees abroad, but American lodges were far less willing for acceptance.
Long as I have my clams, I don't give a damn about muddy water.
The Black experience in America during colonial times did not entirely consist of slavery. Free Black cities thrived, even in the South. Many of the places well known for being major slave ports were influential Black cities. Two of these cities being Charleston, South Carolina, and New Orleans, Louisiana. In fact, by 1868, dozens of Black Republicans ran for office in Louisiana, culminating in the election of Oscar Dunn, who, of course, was a Prince Hall Freemason. But who exactly was Prince Hall?
Now, Henry, I got a question for you, right? You see that silhouette up there, right, in the picture right now, right? Now that looks very familiar, like an NFL team that just got excommunicated out the NFL, if you know what I'm talking about. Washington, quote unquote, Redskins, right? So they just got rid of that. And could it be because the imagery of a red-skinned Indian, which is the true American, was so prominent in everybody's face for so long that it was, because remember, it wasn't no every ordinary day black folks who got that sign took down, sued them up, and made them change their name. It was these sororities and fraternities, excuse me, in a class action lawsuit. Now, Henry, did you get any money from the Washington Redskin team disbandment because of racism?
No.
I didn't get a check either, bruh. So where did all the money go? I'm telling you, I know everyday black people didn't get a check neither. Where did all the money go?
Yeah, so the main part is like when we hear of Black Wall Street, we gotta realize, when did these cities actually started? How they started? What happened to them? These were educated people who went to colleges, people who went to doctors and came back home and like, I'm gonna open my practice, have a son or daughter, they gonna become a doctor after me, take the right, and created enterprises. You feel? That's what we had in America. But a lot of
Henry, I got a question about the doctors real quick. That's very important, right?
Yeah.
What two major modern world events spurred on the corporatized mass production of doctors in mass? What two events? They're the most important events of the 1900. No, not the 1800, of the 1900.
World War I?
Yes, sir.
And what's next?
World War II. Remember, how many people was getting killed a day in those wars? 1 million.
Yeah.
So how many doctors did they need in the field? Medics. How many medics did they have to pump out?
Yeah.
At one time. We're not talking about, oh, we're going to school for 10 years. It's y'all going to school for 6 months and we're putting you in the battlefield. If you survive, you're a doctor. If you save people's lives, you're going to be a doctor. We're going to give, when you get home, we're going to give you all these certificates. We're going to give you all these medals. We're going to give you all these awards. And then now, like you said before about the book, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's a familiar. Why is he a familiar? Because he's not of the bloodline, but he fought for the cause and shed his blood.
Well, yeah,
that's a sacrifice.
But
hold on. Let me just say this one thing. Because then his sacrifice in those conflicts to become the medic passed down the lineage. Now, when he came back, he had a son. His son became a legitimate doctor through regular means. His son became a doctor. Then his son after him.
Yeah, we got to understand that right now, it is not really in the face because a lot of people could come up with easy money. But people got to realize that it's a saying, oh, new money. That new money is somebody who is rich. It's a difference between being rich and wealthy. Being rich is somebody who just got $1 million, or Kanye West just hit an estimate of $1 billion asset. That means that's his credit. That's what they feel like his
that means he can get free chains up to that.
Work.
They can get, remember, Henry, that's what that means in the industry. Like he said in his own rap.
Well, wait, let me
hold on. Let me say this because it's important to what you were saying.
Wait, let me finish, because I'm not trying to go too far into that. I'm trying to just paint this picture right here, that his money is new money. You feel that means that it could be easily taken away. Then you got old money, where you have Ford. You have the Ford company, where the sons can be the CEO, or they could just sit on the side and get dividends.
Right.
And they don't have to work the day of their life, and they don't even have to see or touch their money when their money working for them. All they say, hey, I want to take this dividend, I want to invest it here, and then that investment.
Henry, wouldn't that include Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates?
Yeah, they'll invest $1,000, and then that $1,000 get them $10,000. Then they go to the bank and say, "Hey, I want to use this stock or this share, and I want a loan. I want to get a loan of $8,000 on this $10,000 stock or share," and then they'll get it, and then they'll pay it back by the money that they make out the stock, paying it back. And then that's how somebody wealthy is different than somebody rich. And you have these people who wealthy, they have enough money and enough time to build things to pass on to the next generation. And we have here, most people don't even remember their great-great-grand people that up and dealing with slavery. If people do know, they have history in their Bibles, in their books. They know history because some family keep records. Some family, they just have sex with whoever, make kids, whatever. Their kids move around and meet new people, and there's no order. But you have some people with order to the point that before their child even born, they say, "Hey, you going to marry this person right here. Hey, you going to marry this person right here. Y'all arrange marriage. Y'all gonna go to college. Y'all gonna become something great. Then later on, y'all gonna marry, and this is your purpose. This is your mission. You work for the collective, the brotherly love, the order." So let's put the video up to get some more.
Hold on, let me say what I was going to say, that Kanye's quote.
Okay.
It's going to prove your point directly about him being new money. He said when he first met them people, it was a hell of a deal. He signed his soul over for a few toys and some cars, just like a Happy Meal. He signed them people over his life like some cars and for some like we was getting Hot Wheels in the Happy Meals.
Yeah.
So that shows you he's new money, because he had to sign one hell of a deal to get that stuff.
Let's get to it.
I have my clams, I don't give a damn about muddy water.
There is no general consensus by historians on the exact roots of Prince Hall's ancestry, although it is commonly believed he was born in Barbados. Boulè historian Charles Wesley postulated that Prince Hall was born into slavery and owned by William Hall, a leather tanner from Boston. But David L. Gray, another Prince Hall historian, concludes the official record of manumission, the act of freeing a slave, was unfounded. However, in 1975, in his book, Middle Class Blacks in a White Society, Prince Hall Masonry in America, historian William Marashkin states definitively that Prince Hall was a West Indian mulatto of free status and that he and 14 other black men were first initiated by the British military into a lodge located in Boston. But the wicked hot Masons out in Boston didn't want any blacks in their frats. All right.
To echo such blasphemous
Hey,
nonsense.
pause that real quick, big dog. Pause that, Henry, real quick. Pause that. Yes, sir. Now, because I'm from the area, so we need to get an inside information, right? An eyewitness testimony.
Yeah.
Now, people who don't know Mark Wahlberg, everybody knows what Mark Wahlberg from the movies, but I mean people who don't know his history. Mark Wahlberg is an Irish Catholic from over there up in Boston, south side of Boston, right?
Yeah.
Now, people don't know this about Mark Wahlberg unless you're really a big fan. You followed him since his back in the day days, Marky Mark. You know what I'm saying? But that's for people that was born in the 80s and before. When Matt back like Eminem said back in the day when Mark Wahlberg was Marky Mark.
Yeah.
He beat down some black people who just so happened to be passing through South Boston. They had no problems over there, just regular old natural civilians, right? He assaulted these people, calling them the ultimate racial slurs you could do, and sent the people into critical condition. Did he go to jail or get in trouble for it? No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Why is that? Oh, we already know. Because like he said, they didn't want black people in their club in Boston. Bill Russell has interviews telling stories about what he went through to play with the Celtics, to play for them. And if you don't believe me, like Henry just said earlier in the show, just do your own research. The information is there and the AI knows everything. Go ahead, Henry. Keep playing that video back, baby. We hurting them out here. We're crippling them.
Nah, that's a part 2. We will be doing the part 2 on this. I just wanted to get a outline of what we dealing with. That Kamala Harris is an AKA Alpha Kappa Alpha. She is.
Hey, Henry, what does that mean if they put that on your?
Let me finish.
All right, go ahead.
She is an Alpha Kappa Alpha. That's a part of the Big Nine, which is a Boulè. And a Boulè, if you do your research, it's a Greek word. You could say they was the government. They was the local governments in the city.
Let's call it what it says in the Bible. They was the Pharisees.
No, I'm not going that deep into it.
He said we're not gonna. That's for another show.
Because we gotta go to the point that it's deeper. It's way different. It's to the point that they go and who are they loyal to? Because we see that Prince Hall Mason got their incorporation from Great Britain. You have other laws. They all got.
And don't forget their charter is from Scottish Freemasonry.
Great Britain. It is a strong people that who is during the 60s. During the 60s, during the time of Martin Luther King, when Kamala Harris' mother left India or left Jamaica because it had Indian people in Jamaica.
Right.
Who still own Jamaica.
Now, hold on, Henry, real quick. Let's make a modern relation to what we're saying so they know we're not lying. Now, you just said that Kamala Harris was is a descendant of an Indian person from Jamaica. Now, in Jamaica, there would have to be a division between her and Jamaicans, traditional Jamaicans, East Indians and West Indians. There's already a political divide with that off the rip, like Henry was saying earlier to you guys, that all of this stuff is just further representations of divide and conquer, the ancient Roman strategy.
Yes. You look at it, you have this Indian person and this Jamaican person for racist British Jamaica.
So let's just say for politically correct terms, an East Indian and a West Indian.
That's not I'm not going into the past. Yeah,
no, I'm talking about her parents is an East Indian and one's a West Indian.
But we going into right now in the terminology that people understand, that you have Great Britain. That's the main key thing right there. Great Britain, Freemasonry in Great Britain. A lot of the influence, American war effort, the creation of the nation of Israel, the battle.
Let's go even deeper. Let's add on one more with the nation of Israel.
No, I'm not trying to go deep in this show.
No, I was gonna say the nation of Islam.
Wait, I'm trying to give the key point that with the British, we understand this, that Hitler of Nazi Germany was not trying to take over the world. The people who controlled the world and still secretly handed controlling the world, all tied up with Great Britain. The currency of the world economic system in itself is still controlled and manipulated by Great Britain. To have Freemasonry in different countries is like having a foreign occupier running your country, but telling you, we need you to deal with the local suppression of information. We need you to keep everyday affair okay while we control and take your money. Take your money and manipulate the system and kill your people, destroy your people while you don't even know it. That's the key. Where you have this prosecutor, Kamala Harris, that opportunity, you feel, is in her car, like, hey, opportunity.
Hey, Henry, could I make another link to the opportunity with the Boulè in the Great Britain and the Freemasonry?
Go ahead.
The throne of England is occupied right now by King Charles. King Charles is a direct descendant of Vlad the Impaler, and he is not even holding an English title. He had a Greek title of nobility before he married Queen Elizabeth. You know what I'm talking about, Henry?
Yeah, Prince Philip was the prince of the Hellenes.
And that was his father of King Charles right now. The red dragon that the Bible speaks about. The red dragon of Revelations. So with that, and then if Prince Charles and King Charles, because remember Prince Charles is his heir, right? His namesake is his heir, right?
Yes.
So people who don't know about lineage and how that works to the throne ascension, that even his son name is already Charles. So you know he's taking the throne. Notice they told us in America, Charles Xavier. They already was setting us up. They was letting us know through the imagery. This boy, King Charles, is a Greek king. So wouldn't it make sense if Prince Charles, King Charles of Greece, wanted to take over America, that he would recruit all the people who have contractual and oath obligations to the Crown of England based on their charters in the Scottish Freemasonry. We called that in the history book the Magna Charter.
It's to the point. It's to the point. It's like this. You have Great Britain, or you have Spain. You have Spain who send mercenaries. You would say that Columbus was a mercenary. Him and his ragtag crew was mercenaries going around finding new territory to conquer. You heard I said new territory to conquer, not new territory to explore, but new
And Henry,
territory.
what was the law that allowed them to do so? Do you know? That was Dum Diversus 1452, when it said anybody who is of the descendant of the papacy, meaning that they was commissioned by the Pope, that when they went to foreign lands and they asked you if you believed in Jesus Christ and you said you didn't know who that was and you didn't convert, or you didn't allow them to prosper, they attacked you.
Yeah.
That was the law. They could take you over legally without repercussions.
So the 1 minute and the 1 hour and 30-minute mark hit. I wanted to try to stop at that mark because it's straight 10 o'clock. I want to thank people for tuning in. I know it's late. I know y'all might have ate some good old fried food or some good old food today. It's the weekend. Enjoy y'all time with y'all family, your friends, your loved ones. I just want to thank y'all for coming in and enjoying the show. I hope y'all enjoyed the new setup, how we doing the videos and the show, and also the background where we throwing up Newsroom 16.1 and more. We trying to get everything right for you, the fans, to appreciate what we doing for you all. Without even saying it, you don't have to say it because we see that you appreciate what we doing because y'all coming to see us. Y'all coming to visit and watch the show. Y'all subbing to the channel.
And a lot of people are taking it upon themselves to use what information they know as weapons against these people as well, weapons of enlightenment.
Yep. So let me go ahead and drop this little information right here. And then we could go ahead and end this show after I show this. I want to thank you all. Let's go ahead and show. This the channel. 107. 107. We got many shows. We have Newsroom, never in the working service. We got shorts, videos,
Don't forget don't forget everybody check out that Deadpool and Wolverine review too.
yes.
It's not always about politics over here. We know how to take leisure seriously as well.
So I wanna thank you all. Appreciate it for each and every one of y'all for coming watch the show tonight and watching the other shows. And I want to just go ahead and close out. We appreciate you. Anything you want to tell the people, Jamal?
Hey, you know how I always close out the show the same way every time until it gets into their minds. You know what it is? It's love life and live life to love, and make sure that you remember positive vibes brings positive results. And if you're getting positive results, that means you're accomplishing your goals. And everybody who's with the Most High and positive people, you're already accomplishing your goals because you're already the opposite polarity of the negative energy. You already won.
You know how long I've been waiting for this? Woo, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
I don't think you guys walk away from this.
You just make sure people know what happened.